Morena e hoa ma. Good morning and welcome to week 6. I'm just making a video to show you how this week's work is going to look. It is going to be a little bit different to usual, and that's because I just want to introduce you to the inquiry booklet for next week. And so we're doing a practice one this week. Next week, you'll just get the booklet and maybe a little bit of instructions and slides or some information about the assessment next week. So next week, we are doing an English assessment, which is your inquiry. Your independent inquiry, so meaning you're doing it by yourself. If we go into classwork, and under kaitiakitanga, we have this week's work. You can see, look, it pops up straight away, week 6B inquiry. So practicing the inquiry process and inquiry skills that we learned last week. So you can see that you've got some instructions here. This week we'll be practicing going through the inquiry process. Next week you'll get to pick your own topic, find your own sources, and come up with your own conclusions. This will get you set up to take some action based on what you find out and conclude in weeks 8, 9, and 10. And that is going to be your social studies assessment. So the first thing you'll notice that's a little bit different is that you have more than just the slides to choose from. Everybody is going to be working through the slides as per usual. Normally we would write our answers in the slides or on a piece of paper. However, this week you're going to be writing your answers in one of these 3 booklets. So you get to choose the level of how tough or how supported your booklet is. You'll have the same options next week when you pick your own booklet for your inquiry. So you've got the supported, which is the easiest one. The moderate, which is a middle one, it's got some support but not all the supports, and you've got challenging, which has only a few supports. So if we just go for we'll have a quick look at them just so you can see some of the differences. So if you open up the supported model, you can see that in this booklet you can get up to a level 4A. And it shows you that the skills that we're doing this week are, yes, English skills, but also social studies skills and science skills. And I'm going to be marking you on these ones and some of these, okay, because they overlap in English. So you'll see just some of the assessment information. So the parts of inquiry, so setting up and preparing inquiry. Part 2 is doing your research and finding sources. Part 3 is evaluating your sources, which we're actually going to leave this week and not do, but we'll do that next week. And we're going to form conclusions, which is coming to some final judgments and opinions. But you'll get a closer step-by-step breakdown through those Google slides. So do go through step-by-step through the Google slides and listen to all of the audio. Part 1 is going to be preparing your inquiry. Next week you'll be doing this by yourself. However, if you're doing the supported model this week, I've done it for you so you can see exactly what this looks like. Everybody will have the same topic. So our topic is going to be bees. I've also even put in why I've chosen this topic for our class. So I know bees are important in our ecosystem, but think that they're not cared for, but because people are scared of them. So that's why I picked the topic. My inquiry question, so the overarching thing I want to find out with my research is, are humans hurting the bee populations? My hypothesis is what I think I'll find out for this answer. So what do I think the answer to this at the moment is before I do my research? And I think bees are negatively affected because we're making choices that harm them. And that's what I think I'm going to find out. You then have your 3 key questions. So these are different to your inquiry question because you'll notice this is a closed question. This is a yes-no answer. However, our research questions, our key questions, are open. So they've got they start with words like why, how, and in what ways or what is being done. But we know that there are lots of answers for that, so it's open. It's not do you like using social media or are B's important, it's why. And that will help you get some really good quality information. We then have here building our background knowledge. So this is the first thing that you'll have to do independently and by yourself. And that's where you put in what I know about the topic already, what I want to know, and how you'll find your information. It's important not just to say, I'm going to use Google. Remember, there's more than one search engine. So you can use Google, you could be using things like Epic, you could be using YouTube, so you should be looking for a range of sources. And then highlighting the keywords, and you'll see step by step how to do this. You can see then that I've started to brainstorm some keywords for you, and then you are going to come up with some good combinations to pop into your search engines so that you're not bringing up everything that has the word what in it. And if you do the slides correctly, you'll see what I mean here. Part 2 is when you're going to be doing your research. This is where you record your information, and usually we would evaluate it. However, normally we would have had some workshops if we were in class to do this, but because we can't, I actually just want you to leave this source blank. Okay, the source evaluation, that can be left blank this week. And I will be running or giving you some information about how to do that next week. So you can see that I've actually already picked your sources for you. You'll find access to your 3 sources in the Google Slides, so make sure you've got them open as well. So you've got your question 1, question 2, and question 3. Each source you find, or each place of information, it might be an article, it could be a YouTube video, it could be a speech or an interview, you're going to ask your same 3 key questions, and you're going to make your notes and bullet points, and if you want to include a quote, put them in quotation marks. And you can see here as well, you've got your source 2 and source 3. And the final part is forming your conclusion. So in your own words, answering your questions, and then personally responding with an opinion or a judgment or challenging what you found out or making a recommendation in response to your question. And there's more information about how to do this again in the slides. So that's what the booklet looks like. It is a long document, but you'll find actually that a lot of the pages are just with information, and they're nice and spread out. The moderate version doesn't look really any different other than it's a slightly different yellow colour. You can get up to level 5, and the reason for that is you can do more research and there's less support, so you can show that you can do this more independently. Again, I've picked the topics and I've picked your questions. You're going to do the exact same thing. I've got the same number of keywords pre-planned for you, and it's the same 3 sources. But the questions are worded slightly differently, and some of the vocab is a bit tougher. And then finally, with the challenging booklet, again, a different yellow colour, you can get up to level 6. And in this one, again, I've done the questions for you. You're still going to be filling out the same information. You'll need to come up with all of your own keywords or research terms. And the only other difference is you've got the same 3 sources, but you have to find one of your own. And the exact same thing with your forming conclusions. So those are what the booklets look like. Your first job is to pick your booklet. If you'd like to, you can delete the other 2 booklets so that we know exactly which one that you've picked. Otherwise, just put in the comment section, I have picked to do the moderate B inquiry booklet so that we know which one to look at. If we look at this week's slides, my strong recommendation is to have both of your pieces of work in front of you. Even better if you have a printer, and this, if I had a printer, I would be doing the same thing. I might print off my booklet and do it by hand. If we'd been in class, I would have printed these off for us. because I think it's easier when we're doing our research to have our computer free and to do our research on our computer, and then to make sure that we've got our piece of our notes on paper. Might be even that you do your notes on paper and then you transfer them into a digital copy. So if we go through, I would probably have both my slides open and my book open at the same time. And that's just so that I can get the instructions over here and then do the right thing on the booklet. So if we go through step by step, you've got all of the audio here with the extra information you need to be listening to. You then have 2 Ed puzzles activities to do before you start even writing in the booklet. And then we have step 1. So what do we know? This is when, so you can see here in your chosen booklet, complete this table on page 4. If we go to page 4, you can see, some of you it might be page 5, but you can see it is step 4. So go and complete step 4 in your booklet. I've done one for you here. Okay, so aim for at least 3 points per column. Highlight the keywords you might put into the Google search. So you can see bee, pollinate. So I've completed that, and you're going to complete that, and make sure you've got at least 3 bullet points per column. The more you've got, the better, because that way you can get a bigger and better word bank for you when you are researching. So that is your first activity. The next thing you're going to do is move slightly down. You can see that if you're doing the moderate or the supported book, that a lot of these words are already in there. Your job is to add some more based on any keywords that you've got in your what do I know, what I want to know, and how I find out my how I find my information. However, I would probably go through and be highlighting my keywords here. So bees obviously are a keyword. Important is a keyword that I might put into Google. Affected, humans is a keyword. Choices is a keyword. And protect is a keyword. And maybe you could have today as a keyword. And so with that plus my words from this source here, I can start putting in my bank. Putting them in my bank. So have I missed anything? I've maybe missed affect. I've maybe missed the word pollinate. So just add some more here. Once you've done that, you're going to come up with your combinations. Then moving on to part 2. So if we go to part 2, that is when we're going to be making our notes. If you look at my example here, the booklet will look slightly different, but the notes will look the exact same. So you'll see that I've done this on my own source on a different topic, cat control. I had the luxury of being able to print this source. However, if you did copy and paste your source into a doc, you could color code it like I have. So what I've done for each question, because I had 3 research questions, was I color coded them. So I had an orange question, a yellow question, and a pink question. And so where I found that information, I've highlighted it pink because it's made it really easy for me to go and make my notes on paper. And so I made my notes on paper, and then I rearranged them to make sure the notes were under the correct headings, and then I put them into my template. So that for you will look like this. See, question 1, question 2, question 3. Ignore the source evaluation. And you'll see here you've got your source 1, source 2, and source 3. And if you're doing the challenging booklet, you'll go find your own source. And then you're going to form your conclusions, which are right down here. And it will tell you in the audio here how to do that and what conclusions are. And you've got your extension activities. Look, I know this is seems very big. Lots of it is already filled out for you, and a lot of the pages are actually just extra info. Do attend the Google Meets, listen to the audio, watch this video again if you need to, and just know that we're here alongside you the whole way. Good luck, and we look forward to seeing you in the workshops this week. Cheers.